Traveling to new places or even familiar destinations, usually it's a lot of fun. However, sometimes the plans don't go as they should, and a really great trip can sometimes turn a little bit nightmarish. Travel experts say the key is to have proper planning. Jenny Moore with Cruise Planners is here with us today to help you make those plans and answer your travel related questions. So you can text us your question, the 336-379-5775, that number right there on the bottom of your screen. All right, so Jenny, we just talked about how sometimes even the best laid plans can lead into some kind of issues. You just got back from Norway for 2 weeks, right?
That is
you
correct.
did not have luggage for most of those 2 weeks.
That is correct. So some of the things that you want to make sure of, and we did, of course, had make sure all of these things happened. So, making sure that you don't have tight connections so that the airlines can get them from airplane to airplane. And we did it. Unfortunately, our bags did not make the connection in Atlanta. So we were on an 11-night cruise, and that meant that our bags now explored all of Europe because they were trying to catch up with us. It was interesting. We had 3 bags total. 2 of them arrived on day 9. One of them, we got a picture of it showing up on our front porch in Greensboro. So
okay, what should we know? Like, what should we know? Like, in that case, what would I know? Obviously, you can't do anything about not having your suitcase, but should you have had certain kind of insurance, or what should you do following up with the airlines to make sure that it gives you something back in return?
It does. So one thing to know, and I think when traveling internationally, different countries have different rules. So you are not guaranteed, even if they lose your luggage or even if it's delayed, you're not guaranteed to get any money back. Actually, the US is less friendly when it comes to that than the EU. So we have to file a claim. But the key thing is to keep very, very good records as far as keeping receipts for things that you're going to buy, making sure what the rules are, where your connections are, and how much it is, in addition to having travel insurance and knowing what all that is going to cover as you go into it. Keeping track with the bags as they're, if you're in one location, it's one thing, but if you're moving and then to connect. So really kind of making sure that if you're going to be somewhere tomorrow, don't try to get it tomorrow. Make sure that you say, all right, in 2 days, try to get it to me at this location.
All right, let's talk about this right here. I heard on national TV this week that we all need to start booking our trips for Thanksgiving and Christmas now, and that there's something about some magical date in October. What's going on with that?
So the magical date is October 14th. This is actually, and it's not just for Thanksgiving. As a general rule, air will actually always increase for domestic flights 45 days prior to the day of travel. So October 14th is that magical date that they say this is the 45-day point. However, what we need to keep in mind, again, is that travel is at an all-time high. So if you don't have your air for Thanksgiving travel and even Christmas, I recommend getting it now. So that you can go ahead and because it's obviously supply and demand. Flights are full, so you have to keep that in mind.
Okay. All right, let's talk about some of the best tricks for getting cruises for cheap and where we want them and that kind of thing when it comes to cruise travel.
So cruise travel, the key is always booking far in advance. The best prices are always going to be when an itinerary is first announced. Right now, they're actually announcing 2020, late 24 and into 25. I know that people panic and go, I don't know what I'm doing then. So again, look at your travel insurance. But the best case is if you can't book that far in advance, at least look 6 months out. Caribbean resorts for spring break, if we're thinking spring break, are pretty much full. It's tough to get into and you have to fly. So the cruises are a great option when, it is doable to drive down to Florida to catch a great option.
And are there better cruise ports than others? Like you mentioned Florida, so like Cape Canaveral, but I know that there's some like in Baltimore and things of that nature, Charleston. Do they offer just different kinds of things, or do you see one better than the other?
Well, so Charleston really is a very, very small port, and there is only one cruise line that runs there out of there with an older ship. and it can't, and it really only runs like 4 and 5 night itineraries. So not your best. Baltimore, same thing. You are so far north that if you're trying to go warm, you spend several days just trying to get down there. So Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Port Canaveral, those are really your best, and they're the biggest. And that's where they're going to put the newer, the greater, the bigger, the more fun ships, and you can get down further south into the Caribbean.
And I know we've talked about this before, but I think it bears repeating. When we're talking about going on a cruise and it's going to leave like on a Saturday, do you fly in Friday night?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No questions asked.
So but do you fly in Friday night, or would you even suggest even like Friday morning or Thursday, just in case like there's some like airline issues?
Yeah, I recommend usually coming in no later than the afternoon of, because you never want to take that last flight out. If possible, early morning, but I know some people want to squeeze that last little bit of work in. So but take like a mid-afternoon flight if you can't take that morning flight. Mm-hmm. Enjoy the destination, because no matter where you're going, there's great things to do before you even start before you start your cruise.
Whatever town that is. Okay. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're taking your questions when we come back. 336-379-5775.